All right, Maddie, we're back with the Ask Maddie show, and we are back talking a lot about Casper. You guys have a lot of questions regarding Casper. And so we are going to oblige and answer all of those questions about some swaps for Casper, Casper buying, Casper potential, a lot about Ripple. We've talked about Ripple in the past these last couple of weeks, so we're going to get into that, and then a little bit about Bitcoin. So it should be an action-packed show. You should probably stay until the end. Maddie, we do have to kick off talking about CryptoCharge, cryptocharge.com. What can you tell the team about this glorious platform?
We're actually coming up on 3 years of being fully launched here at CryptoCharge, and a lot's changed over time, and a lot of our members have helped kind of craft our program into what it is today with a lot of great feedback. So we try to keep it really, really actionable for you guys, try to cut out a lot of the fluff, give you guys, just some of the top news. We do live updates Monday through Friday. We also have our macro resident, Dan Habib, on the show, who breaks down all of that stuff that you guys probably don't know about when it comes to inflation, job data, potential recessionary signs, quantitative easing and tightening, right? Those are the kind of things that a lot of you guys omit when it comes to your analysis. That is something we do every single Tuesday. We also have our coin library on there. So, our areas of interest where we're purchasing, where we want to be selling. We, of course, also have our Discord. This is included with your membership. If you guys decide to sign up and check us out, you guys are able to ask questions in there. We have Technical Tune-Up Friday where you guys can put your chart requests in there. We do those every single Friday. We have a lot of value. And with any of these options that we just talked about, you guys get 30 days free with code YouTube if you guys do decide to sign us up. So it gives you 30 whole days to check out the coin library, our updates, our Discord, and then make a decision if it's right for you. So I hope you guys at least come check out our platform, see if it's a right fit.
A lot of hot questions today, Maddie. Are you ready?
Let's get after it.
Ben says, will HNT pop higher than Casper now, or is it just the hype?
Rotations, guys. It's all about rotations, and rotations is something that I think that is not exclusive to my investing theory. There's a lot of people that talk about rotations. If you guys look at some of the people I follow out there, like Blockchain Backer and my buddy Kevin Cage, they're big on the rotations. And you're not going to be able to time which rotation goes first. I think that when you look at, for example, Zcash, HNT as well, but specifically Zcash, everyone was very doubtful about that. They wanted to add more to their positions that were already kind of seeing some of that uptrend position happening. And then that reversal and that rotation seems to come out of nowhere. So we kind of had HNT and Zcash running in unison together, pushing really, really hard. And it seemingly came out of nowhere. Zcash doing almost a 3x and HNT moving from like that low $3 region to just over $7 in a very short period of time. So we obviously have tactical areas where we can add to HNT. We, as a team, consistently look at that next level of support as a backtest area to potentially add to those positions. So is HNT going to just continue popping higher because of hype? I couldn't tell you. HNT is running on Solana now, so if Solana does well, good chance that HNT does well, as, in conjunction with Solana price doing well. But right now, again, like I've talked about, my main focus is a Casper and API 3 DCA right now, and I'm treating those like my golden goose opportunities. So yeah, HNT probably is going to continue with some of this momentum. I'm not going to chase that. I never do. Even with Zcash popping up to over $43, $44, wasn't buying into there. Now that Zcash is coming back down a little bit, maybe towards an area of interest, we might add a little bit just that there. So I want you guys to take that away when I talk about these assets. It's not like, hey, yeah, HNT is in an uptrend, that likely is going to continue to. I need to go all in on HNT right now. I hope that that's not something that you guys take away from this. In fact, it's the opposite. I'm not putting any money into HNT right now. I'm not putting any money into Zcash. I'm really focused on the assets that are much deeper in their cumulative phases right now.
Worry About What says, why is Ripple establishing so many relationships with banks and others aren't?
Big brain activities, I guess. I think one of the things that we look at when we talk about Ripple, the company, and so many people tie the performance of XRP and put that, on Ripple as if it's their responsibility to, give you a good quality token price, but it's a decentralized protocol. It would run today, tomorrow, and the day after without Ripple's help. Now, are we going to have the same, level of foundation and upgrades to the network without, an entity like Ripple, contributing their resources towards that development? Yeah, sure. But the protocol itself operates without that. Now, when you look at the profitability of Ripple, you look at, kind of Ripple's strength in how much funding they have and their expansion and also their branches outside of the US. So we've got European branches and otherwise. They're sitting on somewhere around the $800 million to $1 billion in cash, which is really, really good for a tech company, especially in these phases of development. So they have consistently, even through this lawsuit, reached out to other parts of the world where they don't have regulatory concerns about XRP. XRP was never considered to be a security, even for an inkling or a second there. And they've been hammering away at those relationships instead of wasting their time trying to fight the US markets. Now we have clarity, right? We have clarity in relation to XRP itself not being a security and can just be a digital asset and a commodity to some extent. So I think that we will probably see a refocus back here in the U.S. markets in the coming years. But Ripple's doing what any good tech company should do, keeping their head down, building relationships, continuing to get feedback on their product, evolving, changing that product to accommodate needs. We've seen several different models of products come out from Ripple over the years, and they all get a little bit better each time. And again, that is from the feedback of some of the banks they're partnering with. So, I think that when we do get into this bull run and we start to also see some of these partnerships really set in where you have these banks really actively calling on these ODL corridors, you're going to see probably a much greater demand and buy pressure on XRP itself. Now, of course, XRP will always run with the rest of the market. A lot of you guys have this fantasy that XRP will detach from the rest of the market and everyone's demand for XRP will be so high that you'll get a $15,000 XRP price overnight. Again, I'm never of that belief, but I do think that over time there will continue to be floors that will set with XRP that we will most likely not break below eventually, just because of that sustained growth and utility that comes with an asset like XRP.
Hogan Trainer says, wouldn't it be smarter to just buy Bitcoin and swap with other altcoins later?
So in theory, right, if in a vacuum, yes, but no. You look at Bitcoin price right now, what are we trading at? $62,000 or so. And let's say that we're looking at some of these upper bounds of, extensions based on what we've seen in previous cycles, like a 2.618 to a 4.236 extension. We're looking at like 120 to maybe like $220,000 at the very top end of things, right? Things go really, really well. That's where Bitcoin ends up end of cycle. A lot of people are ignoring the fact that they're like, okay, yeah, Bitcoin goes first, dominance rises. But if Bitcoin is really ripping that hard, like, I mean, we're talking about Bitcoin's ready to do a 2x from current market price up to 120K. The altcoin market's not sitting flat. All right, like that's not even my opinion. You can look at previous cycles. The altcoin market doesn't sit flat while Bitcoin does that. Now, the big fireworks show that you see with altcoins is going to be as Bitcoin tops out and that dominance starts to trickle down a little bit. You also have periods on the way up where dominance will take little breaks and altcoins get the opportunity to move a little higher. But there is a very high likeliness that pretty much any alt that's in your portfolio that's legitimate is going to do more than a 2x on the way up as Bitcoin moves up towards 120K, 200K, whatever. And you're really just trying to play this very, very strict timing game to try to get out of Bitcoin at the peak and then try to get back into all your altcoins. There's a good chance that your altcoins could be up 3 or 4x from those lows by the time Bitcoin reaches that high. So if you feel safer buying Bitcoin and you want to try that strategy, go for it. That's absolutely not for me. And we have seen in previous cycles that is generally not the case where alts just sit completely flat while Bitcoin does a 2 or 3x. So that's what you basically be betting on, is that perfect scenario where altcoins are just doing nothing, and that's not what we've seen historically. So we'd be going against the probabilities. We'd be taking probabilities out of our favor by going all in on Bitcoin and then trying to rotate it into alts.
Eric DM 101 says, okay guys, I am currently 100% in CVX and could exchange it for 30 million Casper. Not financial advice, but would your personal opinion be to actually do this? Just your sincere and honest opinion.
Well, we obviously never offer financial advice here or on the show. You're already kind of deviating from how I would go about things by being all in on one asset. That's your number one mistake right there. And it looks like you're trying to take that same play and just roll it into another play because you're tired of being in this asset. A lot of factors that we don't know here. One of them is I don't know what your cost basis is. On CVX, sounds like you have a relatively decent sized position there, but I don't know what your cost basis is. So you look at the chart where we're at now. We'll take a quick look together. And, it's been a very aggressive descending channel in here for Convex Finance. The ticker here is against CVX, guys. And you look at some of what's been happening here. You got the upper bound and then you got the lower bound. And it really hasn't quite been broken yet. Now, we have been finding some decent support down in this area where we had the previous lows here from 2021. Those are being held pretty decently. We've had a lot of resilience here from April of this year, not really breaking below that level. I also see on the CVX chart here that there's some massive imbalance a little bit higher here. So in the $15 to $22 pocket, there is a lot of imbalance up there. You guys can see there was a lot of liquidity up here. You got that down candle, it never got recovered. So from current market to fill out that gap, that's like a 6, almost up to like a 10x opportunity just to clear out that gap. Now, again, I want you to take a step back though, and if we're not just talking about technicals and risk to reward here, I want you to ask yourself, why did I get into CVX so heavily? Why did I go all in on CVX? And what is my motivation now to leave CVX? Is it that I think that Casper is a better project fundamentally and I'd rather be hunkered into stronger fundamentals? Do I think that there's better technical upside with Casper and I want to try to reap the best risk to reward ratio? you really need to have that conversation with yourself, because you never want to chase the next shiny new thing. Now, I've been in Casper for a minute now. We've talked extensively about Casper here on the show, as well as on the Crypto Charge live show. And I'm not going anywhere with this project. I'm here to see it through, to see $1 or more by end of cycle here. But I really encourage you guys, try not to do this hopping thing. Try not to go all in from one, all into another. One of the things I've talked about is better to just consider building a new position slowly but surely with whatever budget you can afford. If you're really adamant about getting another project and your cost basis is decent on something like CVX and you still like it, maybe only sell a little bit of it and then to start the initial position and then do a DCA. Generally, the hopping around does not yield very good results, because it's more of like an emotional discipline thing that you have going on in relativity to not being diligent with your positions versus actually wanting to roll into another position. So again, just have that conversation with yourself, trying to figure out why you're doing what you're doing. Maybe you're attracted to the APY that's available with Casper, but really think through the decision. Don't just hop around.
Maddie, would you hop from one project to the other, looking at this chart and then realizing what Casper looks like when they're both at their low? Why would someone hop from one project like this to the other? Are they fundamentally bullish, or what have they been told about Casper to want to sell all of their convex and then go to Casper?
So I think we had a fair amount of these like finance projects launch during 2021. You had a fair amount of them out there that were doing what we saw here with the parabolas. People got very excited, very bullish. The hedge funds were just hyping up these finance related coins, and then we kind of just saw some of that demand die off there. Same with kind of like the NFT market, that we saw during 2021. Really incredibly hot NFT market. Don't get me wrong, the NFT community is still here, but they're not as present as they were last cycle around. So if you're going to swap at the lows, I really hope that this is going to be like your one and done position, right? Like that you're not planning on doing this again, because there's also fees associated with this, right? There's fees associated with that. The other thing to consider is your capital gains clock. So if you've held this position for a year or more, and when you do go to sell this at a profit, you will pay a lesser capital gains rate if you held it for a year or more. Now, let's say you dump this all into Casper, and let's say Casper explodes in the next 9 months, right? Now you're going to pay a higher capital gains on those Casper profits because you are decided to basically restart your capital gains clock. Now, for some of you guys, I guess you don't really care. You'd rather maybe just get a little bit more profitability. Obviously I don't know enough about CVX, convex finance, and I'm more bullish on Casper because I know that the utility is a lot higher there, smart contracts, as well as, looking at the developments with Grayscale Prove AI. The mints are happening right now. I know there's a lot of real world utility that's happening with Casper, so that's very attractive for you guys in addition to the double digit APY. So I do understand why somebody would want to make that move. I would say, honestly though, if you're going to really just dissolve the CVX position, might as well just dissolve it and then maybe look at 5 or 6 assets and then divide between those 5 or 6 instead of just shifting from all one to all another.
Ani says, "Hi guys, thanks for the video. I was wondering, Casper could pass its all-time high in the bull run?" No.
I feel like the quote from Angels in the Outfield. It could happen. When you look at the all-time high for Casper, it's kind of like a $1.36 is kind of like the general area that we see candle body closes on a lot of charts. Some charts will show a little bit more, some will show a little bit less. There were on the KuCoin chart previously like a $60 high, others were showing like a $30 wick. I'm not expecting us to reach double-digit Casper this time around. And for some of you guys, you're out because this is not a 5,000x opportunity, and that's fine. But do I think that we reach somewhere between 1 to 2 or maybe even 250 this cycle over on Casper? Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very possible. If we could reclaim kind of even just that 3 to 5 cent area, the sentiment in our community is going to go up exponentially. People will take every piece of bad news in at 10 times the rate when price is down, and they'll take the good news in at 10 times the rate when price is up. So I really don't care about what people's sentiment is right now when it comes to assets, because nobody's singing kumbaya and buying the bottom together when we're in this kind of bearishness here. But I do think that Casper could see $1 or more by the end of this bull cycle, and that's kind of where I'm going to be looking to start exiting some significant pieces of my position here.
TC says, just had to bring this one on the show because I thought it was funny reading it right now. Why promoting Casper while their team is heavily dumping their own token? They paying you? There's tons of evidence of it. Now Casper Live have the account section. Everybody can see the millions and millions of tokens transferred from the team's wallet to Gate, KuCoin, and OKX. Why continue to deny the reality and call it FUD even there is evidences?
So they're not paying us. I don't know how many times I have to go over this with you clowns. We don't get paid from anybody. We have had so many opportunities to make money by promoting exchanges and projects and coins, and we always turn it down because we want to continue with the integrity that we have on this program. So just knock that shit off, guys. Like we don't take money from anybody. Now, what you're talking about here, dumping on us, moving coins from one wallet to another wallet does not equal dumping and selling, right? Like I think that you guys think if I move from one wallet to another wallet that I'm dumping or selling. If I move $10,000 from my Wells Fargo account to my Chase account, did I sell anything? Did anything actually happen? Or did I just have one wallet or one account where I moved $10,000 from one account to another account? Nothing happened with the money. No profits or losses were made. Nothing happened. All I did was move money around. So if you can go ahead and prove to me that they moved millions of coins and that they sold millions of coins out of those wallets, then great, let's have that conversation. But you don't have any evidences of that. I think that when we look at some of the FUD that's out there, FUD always happens at the bottom. It never happens when we're in bullishness. In fact, if there was any FUD out there, you guys would ignore it without a second thought when we're in bullish periods because you guys like the safety in numbers. You guys have the herd mentality. And I hate to say that because that's not what I want for you guys, but a lot of you guys do have that herd mentality. And I will never be able to eradicate you of it because you guys have that herd mentality. You have the employee mindset. And you always want to feel comfortable with everybody saying the same thing. You want consensus. You want confirmation bias. And you'll never have it. You won't. So, it is FUD. It absolutely is FUD. And it doesn't make sense for the Casper team to dump coins that they have here at the lows. Why would they be selling at the lowest possible price here? In fact, they would probably wait for a resurgence in price and then dump on your ass, right? Like, let's think about this here a little bit logically.
Maddie, do you feel like you're going against the grain when it relates to Casper right now?
Oh, absolutely. So it feels exactly the same as when I was going against the grain when we were buying into Zcash at those lows. $18 to $20 was not a popular price. Obviously, the Zcash community on Twitter was very supportive because they've been through this thick and thin. They're so fundamentally bullish on Zcash, you couldn't pull them out for anything. But the majority of you guys out there that are just here for the investing side of things, don't really care about the tech, don't care about DLT. You guys did not care about Zcash at those prices. Now that Zcash is up here, and showing some meaningful moves, and we had a break over that $35 top, people are asking questions. People are commenting on the content here. People are trying to figure out how to build a position now. So I really don't care about these kinds of opinions at the lows here because you guys won't have these same opinions when prices just even a little bit higher than where current market price is now.
I like that, Matt. It's funny because like when I think of comments like this, I think back to like the Tremps and the Bowdens, like I was joking with you before the show as like someone was asking for us to chart that. And I look at that and they think of like the narrative things and they think about price. When you look at a Tremp or a Bowden and you look at the price depreciation, that's when someone gives up on a project for a project that has nothing fundamental to offer here. And I'll be honest, some of these questions out here does make you second guess yourself because you are public facing. You are talking about these projects on a weekly basis. You are talking about the money that you yourself are putting into it. And so when the whole world comes at you and says, hey bro, price isn't good enough, you should sell it right now and swap it out, it makes you think for a second. It's like, am I the only one here? And I gotta be honest, Matt, I do feel like I'm the only one here. There's a lot of, every time I go on Twitter, I'm seeing someone negative bring it up. Like, I like what you had to say on Monday about the influencer that will not be named, that, we've shitted on enough, And so
Right.
that is like an influencer out there, but there's also other influencers that were mega bulls on Casper that have been quiet. So I do feel like public facing here, we are the only ones. We're the last man standing here. And so if that's the case, that's fine, but we bring the realism about what Casper Labs is doing, the products that they are putting themselves into, and how they're trying to set themselves up. All right, I haven't seen anything that has told me otherwise with their tools. I mean, they stepped into the Prove AI tool and are now doing it. That tool is now being used with Grayscale NFTs. So if the fundamentals are there, okay, it is a competitive marketplace when it comes to AI, but if the fundamentals are there and I have a great position, why would I leave it right now? Okay.
Right.
If I want to sell my whole bag at this new market top that we're going to set, fine, and then be done with it. All right. But Maddie, I don't know if it's changed for you, but for me, it's still get rid of most of my Casper once it, hits my price targets and then hold a portion. Is that the same for you?
Definitely, it's about exiting the majority of your position, holding on to a little bit. Like Kevin Cage has talked about many times. There's other assets that he looked at and he's made really, really good money, but he wished he had kept a little bit more of that bag, not a lot, but just had kept a little piece of it, just as kind of like an insurance policy against yourself. And that's something he really institutes now, and that's something that I've taken to heart as we kind of have calls periodically. Like we've talked about that a lot. Of like hey, especially when you're getting into something early, something that's set multiple new lows, and you have staking rewards that you could be continuing to earn, just set it and forget it, right? Like make it your forget about it bag, because you've paid so little for it that just letting a portion of that ride long term, absolutely fantastic. Because once you've de-risked and you've taken the majority of your position off the table, let's say you even take 90% of your position off the table and you leave 10% and you're earning anywhere between 8 and 15% APY just over years and years, and you don't even have to think about it. That is the kind of bag that is really, really valuable in the future. Let's say that Casper does become incredibly successful and everyone was even more wrong than they were now about the performance of Casper. And let's say Casper is trading at $20 or $30 in the future, filling out some of those illiquidity wicks, and you paid 1.5 cents, 3 cents, 5 cents, right? Let's say even any of those prices, you paid 5 cents and Casper trading at $20 or $30 in the future, let's say even 2 or 3 cycles from now, you haven't touched it, it's just staking up. That is a meaningful bag that you can extract more profits from, even if you sell half of that and then rotate it into something else. So again, not promising you guys $20 or $30 Casper. I'm just saying there are situations where, like with Solana, where it just continue to go and go and go and go. And everyone's like, I can't believe this is still going, right? And imagine if you had just kept a piece of that just all staked up and it didn't matter to you anymore. That's how I look at these small bags like Casper that we intend to keep, and just using it as an insurance policy in the event that you are wrong at about top and then price keeps going.
All right, team, that's all we have for today. Maddie, I did want to get one more thing from you, because on Monday's show, on the Crypto Charge Live show this Monday, you talked about what you're doing with your API 3 bag, with your staking, with your selling. Can you share for the team your API 3 strategy when it comes bull run time?
Yeah, so I've been probably the most tactical with my API 3 bag. It's one of the bags where I've had an opportunity to do a trim as we kind of had that pump earlier this year into some prices that I told you, the team, that I would be doing a trim, and I was able to reallocate here. So one of the things that I do on a weekly basis is I do a DCA sweep into cold storage. So if you guys aren't doing that and you have a cold storage device, you guys are being a little bit risky, right? I'm not saying like every day sweep every little bit out there, but the point is to mitigate the risk on exchange and only to keep what's absolutely necessary on there, and then move the coins onto your cold wallet. But what I do from there is that I stake my API 3 in the staking pool, in the native pool, every single time. Now, once in a while, I will wait because it is based on Ethereum. So if the ETH fees are really high, I'll wait a few hours and I'll come back and I'll see if the rate to actually stake is a little bit better. But the way the API 3 staking works is a little bit different than like what we have for Casper. So with Casper, it's 14 hours in, 14 hours out. You can take it all out. All those rewards are paid out every era. So every 2 hours you're earning rewards. With API 3, it's first of all a longer staking and unstaking. So 7 days out if you want to remove your coins. So again, if you guys are staked up, always look at those targets. If you start to see price start to kind of really move a little bit higher, it's probably time to start unstaking those tokens. Now, the rewards that you do earn, it's very juicy APY right now. The rewards that you do earn do not come from until 1 year after the initial stake. So every stake, it's 1 year from that point. So the coins I stake today will be available 1 year from now. The coins I staked a year ago are available now. What I plan on basically doing is leaving all of those rewards after I take all my actual liquid balance out that I put into the market and selling those at those targets, is leaving the staked bag alone, just pretending like it doesn't exist and using that as my long-term bag. Now, those rewards can also be restaked, right? So that's kind of the other caveat here, is that you can look at the rewards, and let's say you had 1,000 API 3 rewards and you're leaving that staked up, and let's say the pool stays between 18 and 30%, and you leave that to the next cycle. So we're talking about 2 to 3 years of just cooking up here. Now, those rewards that you didn't pay anything extra for, you could sell at a huge premium in another cycle. So that's kind of how I'm approaching API 3. I'll basically be clearing out all of my liquid bags, selling all of that for a profit, targets 1, 2, 3, and then I'll be leaving all of the staking rewards alone that I didn't pay a dime for in that staking pool in cold storage associated with that key until a future cycle.
Wow, Maddie, I don't know what I'm going to title this show, but it's got to do something with like the last man standing in Casper. I feel like we're in Game of Thrones, where like Jon Snow is in the middle of the Iceland. He's got the White Walkers all around him. Like everyone has flipped on us, and now they're all trying to kill us. That's how I feel like we are right now. We need a fiery bull run to come save us. So, team, if you got something valuable here, make sure you leave a like. We will be back next week with all of our shows. And if you have any more questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. And if you have questions, bring up something than Casper. I love talking about Casper. I love hearing Matt rant about Casper. I think we all enjoy that. But we do need to expand here. Let's talk about some things Bitcoin, Ethereum. Let's get back into that. I know you guys love the Casper right now. It's great. We're all going to look back. There's going to be a compilation one day of all these, Casper rants, and we're going to prove like everyone was wrong. That's going to happen one day, but we also want to talk about other things. So make sure you leave it in the comment section down below. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.